Hello, welcome to D-Transit, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Transit. This week, there's new trains and new developments across the country in the rail world, and high-speed development from the country of India. Before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and comment if you enjoy the series. Without further ado, here's This Week in Transit. We start at the federal level of the United States. America's national passenger rail operator, Amtrak, unveiled their new high-speed Acela trains to passenger service for the first time on August 28th. Dubbed NextGen Acelas, these Alstom-built high-speed trains will run the flagship Acela service between Boston, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C. by way of the Northeast Corridor. The new trains present a huge and long-delayed overhaul to Amtrak's second busiest service, behind the slower Northeast Regional. A 27% increase in passenger capacity and increased numbers of rolling stock mean more options for passengers along America's most traveled rail corridor. Wide seats, new amenities like better Wi-Fi and power ports, and ADA-accessible facilities including huge bathrooms are just a few of the internal benefits. Externally, the trains feature new tilting systems that aren't yet active and higher speed capabilities. Media parties at either end of the route were present for the inaugural runs of the NextGen Acelas, as were numerous fans at intermediate stations waiting for the train to pass. In classic Amtrak fashion, the new trains did have some teething issues, particularly in the door and extender mechanisms, which delayed the trains but didn't hamper the atmosphere. For more about Amtrak's newest rolling stock, check out the video I recently made about them using the link in the description. In the nation's capital, the Trump administration has extended its control over Washington, D.C., taking the management of Washington's Union Station into the hands of the Department of Transportation. After years of contracted management, Amtrak initially took over the station in 2024, and immediately got to work remediating the decor of the station, opening a new waiting area for passengers and a whole new track to help accommodate growing service from Amtrak and the Virginia Railway Express, as well as Maryland's MARC, which makes this move from the government much more surprising, given the drastic improvements seen at the station in the past year. Amtrak, however, will retain control of the passenger areas according to the Post. In Massachusetts, more work is being done to speed up what might be, or was, rather, this country's slowest subway. The T's Orange Line trains are cleared for 55-mile-per-hour operations between Oak Grove and Assembly at the north end of the line. Originally speed restricted due to declining track infrastructure and no funding for improvements, a series of large investments and remediation from Massachusetts and manager Phil Eng have helped get the T back up to speed, literally. The project was a small part of the Track Improvement Program, which removed 220 speed restrictions system-wide by replacing 250,000 feet of rail, which converts to 2.4 million minutes saved each weekday for passengers. The MBTA is also rolling out stricter fare checking systems, as the agency was staring down a $700 million budget shortfall this year, before being saved by a state amendment. Their presence will be most noticeable on the light rail style Green Line, where it runs above ground without turnstiles on most of its branches. Outside of Boston, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, or MassDOT, has secured $3.5 million in funding for its West-East rail link, which supports development along the Boston-Albany corridor to expand regular commuter rail. Currently, the Lakeshore Limited is the only line to travel the entire segment. The funding was delivered by the Corridor ID, or Corridor Identification Program. Developed by the administration of President Joe Biden, the program looks to keep a register of growing rail corridors and support their efforts for increased and expanded service. The corridor would be expected to pass through Framingham, Palmer, Springfield, and Pittsfield, amongst other stops, before reaching Albany. At Springfield, the line would intersect with Amtrak's Northeast Regional Springfield branch, the Hartford Line, Valley Flyer, Lakeshore Limited, and Vermonter, as well as CT Rail's Hartford Line. At Albany, the line would intersect with the Adirondack, Empire Service, Ethan Allen Express, and Maple Leaf, filling a missing gap of rail service and creating a boatload of new rail connections for travel. New Jersey Transit has taken over operating control of the agency's River Line, a diesel light rail line linking Camden and Trenton in South Jersey, across the Delaware River from Philadelphia. Consisting of 34 miles and 21 stations, the route was purchased by NJ Transit from Conrail in 1999, before service began in 2004. Service has been operated by Alstom since, but on September 3rd of this year, New Jersey Transit announced that the route's needs have grown outside of the scope of Alstom's abilities, which means NJ Transit will assume full operation and maintenance of the line. The River Line is one of South Jersey's few rail connections. A few are planned in the future, the most advanced being the Glassboro-Camden Line, which is a diesel light rail line that would provide links to the waterfront, the River Line, the Atlantic City Rail Line, and the Patco Speed Line, before venturing eastwards towards Glassboro. In Texas, the Texas Transportation Commission has greenlit new funding for Amtrak's Heartland Flyer, a 206-mile intercity service which links Fort Worth, Texas with Oklahoma City in Oklahoma via a 4-hour journey. The route saw 80,000 riders in fiscal year 2024, 11% up from the previous fiscal year. The approval is excellent news for the line, which faced suspension threats after the Texas government neglected to include funding for the service in the state's upcoming fiscal budget. Continued funding also reopens the conversation for an extension to Kansas, which has been discussed numerous times. In the Bay Area of California, there's more good news for BART. Having grown a reputation for crime and unsafe conditions during the pandemic, the BART Police Department released a monthly report showing crime levels dropped for the first 7 months of 2025. Violent crimes declined from 203 incidents for the first 7 months of 2024 to 130 incidents for this year. Property crimes also fell in half between last year and this year, from 1,092 to 547. Robberies plummeted from 126 in 2024 to 37, and auto burglaries dropped from 449 to 162. According to the agency, the drop in crime is attributed to an increased presence by BART's police department, as well as the installation of next-generation fare gates, which reduce the risk of fare evasion. 48 of BART's 50 stations have these new gates, which also deter unwanted behavior. Our last piece of news comes from India, where national operator Indian Railways is preparing a project report for a proposed high-speed rail line connecting Hyderabad and Chennai in southern India. The 705-kilometer, 438-mile corridor will support operational speeds of 320 kilometers per hour, or 200 miles per hour. Travel between the two end cities would drop from 12 to 14 hours to just 2 hours. The project is projected to take roughly 15 years to complete and is part of India's larger National Rail Plan 2050, which seeks to create 7 new high-speed routes across the country. And with that, we come to a close in This Week in Transit. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment any news that I may have missed or that you'd like to share. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you next week.